I can't take the politicization of everything. Everything.
Yeah, it really is. It's worse than ever, right at this second, too. Isn't it?
Well, no, that was just a second ago. I think it's worse,
now it's worse right
now.
Because it's things that, I mean, the post office, I mean, the post office has been, when it comes to politics, everyone kind of realizing it doesn't really work all that well. But, because they lose lots of money and it's not a great business. But, generally speaking, you put your mail out there, it gets to the place that it's supposed to go. You'd get the occasional libertarian sort of pushback on whether we should fund it at all. And then that's basically been it for how long? 100 years? Now it's all of a sudden so concerning that they have to come back and vote on it in a more urgent sense than multiple trillions of dollars they let go out the door a couple months ago.
Let me tell you, let me play for you the audio of Chuck Schumer. Trump is undermining our post office.
He says he wants to slow down the mail to hurt the elections and make people doubt the results of the election.
It's not what he said. It's not even
Maybe
close to what he said.
he's worried he's going to lose. It doesn't matter. Our elections are sacred, and to do this is disgraceful. The postal system is well loved by America. 91% of America approves of the postal system.
Which gives me pause.
But it's now being 100% undermined.
Oh, see, he did the percent
by the
thing.
Postmaster General, a political hack appointee.
Okay, stop. I can't do it. I can't do it. Here is Barack Obama on the post office.
If you think about it, UPS and FedEx are doing just fine, right? No, they are. I mean, it's the post office that's always having problems.
So we have President Obama saying that, but, he fixed. Oh, no, he didn't fix it. No, he didn't fix it. So Donald Trump brings somebody in to fix the post office, somebody who's well qualified to fix the post office. The moving of the sorting machines and the shutting down, that happens all the time in the post office.
Yeah.
And most of it is not going to happen before the election. They're announcing it now and saying we're doing these things, blah, blah, blah. After the election. And even if it is happening before the election, it's happening in a way where it always goes on. Yeah. This always goes on.
They say that ballots are something like 2% of the mail in that time period, which I think the U.S. Postal Service can handle that. There's all these rumors about, well, they've locked postal the boxes in the mailboxes for the Postal Service. It's like, well, that happened because people were stealing mail. It had happened months ago. You go to the other big complaint they have is this ridiculous thing about they're removing mailboxes from around these cities. It's like, well, when you read what they're doing, they're removing them from where there are multiple next to each other. So like there's 5 next to each other and they're taking 1 or 2 out. So there's only 3 or 4 left. I don't think that's going to overturn the election. I could be wrong.
I think it is.
You do? Okay.
I think it is. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nancy Pelosi would not just, she was so concerned. She could not call Congress back into session because of COVID. Well, as I understand, COVID is worse than it's ever been.
No, it's not. But
no,
still,
it's worse than it's ever been.
It's not. But
we're the worst in the world, Stu.
No,
there's no one that will even take our passports now and let people in because we are the worst.
Yeah, that's not true.
It's the most dangerous.
And that's not true.
Ever.
No.
Okay. So she knows this, and that's why she didn't bring the the Congress back. But now, at this very dangerous time, when all of them could die from COVID,
this is the time they need it back. And come on, we just outlined why the Postal Service has a 91% approval rating. Because people didn't think of it as political. That's why it had a approval rating of 91%. If people just thought of it as like a thing down the street. They never thought of it as part of the federal government. So when you test it against other federal government agencies, they think they all suck. And they don't think about the Postal Service that way. Keep doing this, and they will.
Yep.
You'll have, instead of a 91% approval rating, you'll have a 50% approval rating pretty quickly if you keep doing this. But again, if they can get 1 extra percent, one extra little grab at power, they will destroy anything they have to in their way.
So I don't want to compare the Postal Service to other agencies in the federal government.
Right.
Why don't they do a poll on the Postal Service versus UPS, Federal Express, all the other alternatives? Because I'm doubting that the UPS or USPS comes out number one.
Well, plus it's subsidized so heavily. So yes, you can send packages cheaper at times with the Postal Service. Yeah, you can. That's because you're already paying for it in other ways.
I know, it's crazy.
Nobody thinks of it that way. No one adds that into their package cost.
Right.
But when it's losing billions and billions of dollars, it's not just going into thin air. You're paying for it.
So we got that going for us. And on Wednesday, we're going to be doing a special on voter fraud and stealing of the election and this Postmaster General garbage. They're threatening him with jail if he doesn't show up to testify. Can you imagine? I mean, the president calls you and says, Stu, we've got to have you as the executive producer in charge of America. You're going to make sure that everything is just looking good and running right. Is there an amount of money or an amount of national pride that would make you say, I got to do that?
Oh, it sounds like a fun job right now.
I mean, you wouldn't take anything, any job. Your life is destroyed. And what's crazy is these public servants that are called up, most of them are like 60, 65. They're being called up. They're at the end of they could be on a golf course, and they're like, you know what? No, I think the Postal Service I could actually do a number on. I could actually help. So they go in for what?
To get destroyed publicly for no reason. For no reason. Again, like
these career politicians who are almost all of them corrupt.
And the guy who's head of the post office, they're like, oh, he's a political appointee. First of all, that's been common throughout the years. That happens a lot. You're not picking your opponents to go run it. Yeah. You're picking people who like you, which is typical in the government. But he said they're going to have no problem with this.
Right.
He's not saying that they're going to lose ballots.
That's exactly what he said. That's exactly what he would say.
There you go.
It's exactly what he would say. I mean, and then let me tell you this. You tell me that Donald Trump doesn't want to fix the election. Have you heard now that national elections are being delayed by 4 weeks because of coronavirus?
Unbelievable.
I mean, in New Zealand. But that's Donald Trump. He's even trying to fix the elections in New Zealand because they wouldn't have done that. Sure, it's the most dangerous pandemic and we're all going to die and our hair is on fire right now. And oh my gosh, I should be quarantined for the rest of my life. It's in New Zealand that they're doing this. Can you imagine if Donald Trump and his administration would say, CDC has told us that we should delay?
Well, he did, of course, suggest this on Twitter. And they were very upset about it. Now they're praising New Zealand because New Zealand is acting as an authoritarian government over its people and saying, yes, we have, it started with, I think, 4 cases, but I think it got to 13 before they actually shut things down. And they're delaying elections because of 13 cases. Now, Donald Trump, they keep acting, when he says stuff like that, they are very upset about it, as am I. I don't want our elections delayed. But
I don't either.
But I don't understand how you can praise New Zealand for their sensible, well-measured response to this. It's because you like her, because she's doing the things that you want, and you don't like Trump. And none of this stuff is honest. That's what the most frustrating part about it is.
I know.
None of this is honest.
But what Schumer just said. Oh. Donald Trump said he wants to slow down. No, he didn't. You wouldn't pass the spending bill. You wouldn't pass the stimulus. In there was money for the post office. So when you, the Democrats, don't get together to pass it, you then come out and say, he's not spending the money that it needs to be taken for the post office. No, it's your fault. It's your fault. And what did he say? He said, fine, rubbing their nose into it. Fine. Well, I guess if you don't have that money for the post office, because you wouldn't vote for it, you wouldn't pass the stimulus, well, that's good for me.
And do you remember, too, when Republicans there'd be a big spending bill that would help working families?
Oh, yeah.
And the Republicans would be like, well, we really don't want to.
There's $1 trillion in abortions, and some of them seem to be forced abortions.
And what is an abortion party? I don't even know what that is. And why are you having a celebration? Like, it's all in there. And the Republicans would say, well, we're not going to pass it with that in there. And they'd be like, you are holding up helping working families for your special interest groups and right-wing religious nonsense.
Did you see this puppy dog? This puppy dog will be dead by the end of the week because of you.
Right. And now we have a situation where millions of people, for nobody's fault, are coming off of a pandemic-related unemployment and are going to lose the money that was going to them. Thousands and thousands of businesses that are barely holding things together are going to go without this money after the government told them they had to close down. This giant spending bill is everyone's talking about it's going to eventually be a reality, but it's all going to happen after these people go out of business.
I know.
And so they're not coming back to help them. They're coming back to help the freaking post office.
Which will never go out of business until
never.
the United States goes out of business.